What is this? This is something we rarely see from the paid propagandist at MSNBC. I thought doing this was frowned upon. In some cases, I was under the impression that you could be banned from appearing on the network if you had the audacity to do this. Yesterday morning on a program called Inside Woke United Methodist, hosted by the television daughter of Big Red Joy Behar, Little Red Riding Hood, Jen Psaki. Yesterday morning on MSNBC, Jen Psaki, she actually spoke the truth. You got to understand how rare this is. This is a network that most people believe to be allergic to the truth. But Little Red, who used to have the impossible task of being the press secretary for Johnny B. Biden, where she was responsible for interpreting his incoherent thoughts and speaking that gibberish into a language that the rest of us can understand. There are very few positions that are closer to the president than being the White House press secretary, and you would think someone that close to Johnny B. Biden, they would be a lifelong loyalist. But yesterday morning on MSNBC, Jen Psaki, she unofficially maybe turned her back on Johnny B. Biden. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Right now, there seems to be a civil war brewing in the pews of Woke United Methodist. The war, it includes both politicians and the Boodle Brigade in the mainstream media. On one side of the war, you have politicians and media personalities begging for John Biden to return to his Delaware dungeon and let cackling Cam Harris steer the Titanic into the iceberg. Now, on the other side, you have people like Captain Doofus John Scarborough chastising his fellow comrades in the woke army for having the audacity to turn their back on their fearless leader. Now, on the surface, you would think Jen Psaki would be following orders from Captain Doofus. Jenny P seems to have a great relationship with the Biden Brigade. She's one of the few people who still believe that Jill Biden is an actual doctor. When Little Red has a cold from spending those long winter nights in the meadow, she makes an appointment with pretend Dr. Jill so she can get her prescription to aspirin refilled. But yesterday morning, in a surprising move of defiance, Jen Psaki, she expressed doubt in the abilities of our fearless leader. Little Red, she opened her show yesterday morning talking about the ongoing disaster known as the Biden campaign. In a show of respect, Jenny, she still affectionately referred to Jill Biden as pretend Dr. Jill. But the rest of the 6-minute segment, it was filled with doubt and concern. Like anyone else with a set of eyes, Jen Psaki, she is worried about the cognitive state of Johnny B. Biden. It is abundantly clear at this point that the treatment plan designed by pretend Dr. Jill, that plan ain't working, which shouldn't be all that surprising since Jilly B, she is the lead doctor at Woke Memorial Hospital responsible for finding a cure for stage 4 OMB. Orange Man bad! Pretend Dr. Jill, she has been looking for a cure for 8 long years now and still hasn't been able to find it. But watch for yourself as Jen Psaki betrays, for lack of a better word, our fearless leader.
The panic inside the Democratic Party has definitely not gone away. I mean, the questions I know I'm getting from text message, from friends, from family are twofold. What's going to happen and what is the best path forward? And I'm not going to sit here this afternoon and tell you I know the answer to either question. On Friday, President Biden also sat down for his first interview since the debate with veteran journalist George Stephanopoulos. I watched it. I've watched a lot of these. I've prepped him and others for a lot of these. I would say it went just okay for the president. There were also some moments, and not just one, that did not go well.
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do.
Now, I know, and I don't think that's what he actually thinks, but that sounded to me like something a member of his family told him over the last week or so, and that in itself is a bit concerning. I mean, it was better than debate, not a home run at all.
Now, you got to understand the potential significance of this. I've never worked in government, thankfully, so I don't have a full understanding of how close certain positions are to the president, but if I had to guess, The White House press secretary works very closely with the president. Little Red held that position for over a year. In that time, I would assume that she worked closely with Johnny B. Biden. If Jen Psaki's having doubts, if Jen Psaki is questioning the cognitive ability of John Biden, then you would think Johnny B has a very serious problem. She went as far as saying that the Biden family, which are now known as the handful of people still supporting this disastrous administration, Jen Psaki claimed that Hunter B. Biden and Jilly B. Biden, they were giving the family patriarch answers to questions. Now, they're bad answers, and in true John Biden style, he has trouble remembering and reciting the answers, but either way, according to Jen Psaki, John Biden is being given scripted answers from his wife and his son. Now, one of those people is the on-set doctor for the Yentas on The View. The other one, he chooses to identify as the defendant. Jen Psaki tried to be respectful. She tried to soften the hit that she was delivering to John Biden. Instead of calling his ABC interview with George Stephanopoulos a disaster, Jen Psaki, she politely claimed that it wasn't a home run. Yeah, no shit. It wasn't even a base hit. Hell, I don't think Johnny B even made contact. My inside sources tell me his baseball swing is a lot like his golf swing. Typically, it's a swing and a miss. Now, as of the recording of this video, there are a handful of Democratic representatives. I think it's around 5 of them. They are demanding that John Biden step aside. There are many in the mainstream media begging for the same. However, that does not mean that John Biden doesn't have his supporters. Believe it or not, Johnny even has supporters that aren't related to him. For example, John Scarborough from MSNBC, host of the polished turd called Morning John. I'm sure you guys have seen the show before. It's the show hosted by woke husband and woke wife John and Minka. Earlier this morning, Joe Scarborough, he passionately lectured his fellow deacons at Woke United Methodist for their betrayal of John Biden. Now, he referred to them as elites, which is ironic since most people consider John Scarborough to be a part of that group. What was also ironic about this sudden support for John Biden, 10 days ago, Joe Scarborough, he was damn near in tears, crying about the debate performance of Johnny B. Oh my God, the Trumper's going to be president. We can't run John Biden. He just can't do it. We need a savior. Give me cackling Kamala. Give me Gretchen Whitaker and her climate-friendly broom. Hell, give me Gabby Newsom. America would be great if it resembled the People's Republic of California. Now, all of a sudden, after he had a week to think about it over his 4th of July vacation to the Isle of Wiener, John Scarborough, he is suddenly back to supporting Johnny B. Biden. But guess who else is fully supportive of John Biden? Just take a wild guess. Well, KC, is it Barry the Obama? I don't think Barry was fully supportive of John Biden when he was his vice president. One of the reasons I think Barry chose Joey, he knew he would stay the hell out of the way. I'm not talking about one individual, though. I'm talking about an entire group. And the group I'm talking about is none other than the group of Yentas on The View. Like the crew from Morning John, the Yentas, they also returned from vacation this morning. Now, of course, they didn't vacation to the Isle of Toxic Masculinity. As you guys know, the lovely ladies, they spend their summer vacations at the doctor's office getting those Botox injections refilled. Unless, of course, it's the Whoopi cushion. The Whoopi cushion. She spent last week at the gas station refueling her tank. As you're about to see, the Whoopi cushion, she received plenty of gas last week because the Boodle Breeze, it was super powerful this morning. She could not hike that leg fast enough. She was ready to unleash. This morning on The View, the Whoopi cushion, she was explaining to the audience of lonely women that she was voting for John Biden no matter what. Doesn't matter to the Whoopi cushion that John Biden is only lucid for a few hours a day, and even during those hours, he's only half lucid. Doesn't matter that John Biden has spread the southern border wider than the Bruce caboose. Doesn't matter to the Whoopi cushion that John Biden suffers through a severe case of IBS. Matter of fact, That seems to be something that they have in common. According to the premier feminine flatulator, John Biden is the only option. Watch for yourself.
I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. I have poopy days all the time. I step in so much poo you can't even imagine.
It's too easy. I mean, they make it too easy. I'm sure some of you guys thought I was kidding when I referred to her as the whoopee cushion. I'm sure some of you guys thought the powerful boodle breeze I talk about was an attempt at satire. The boodle breeze is real. You no longer have to take my word for it. The whoopee cushion. She just admitted on national television that there are days on The View where she doesn't have time to rush to the bathroom. She's got to finish the show with a toxic load. What an embarrassment. I mean, seriously, what is the appeal to this show? Who wants to spend their Monday morning off a holiday weekend listening to old women discuss their bodily emissions? You want to talk about climate change? Forget about carbon emissions for a little while. Scientists, they should be studying the emissions coming from The View. But the failed redemption tour of Johnny B. Biden, it continued this morning on MSNBC. Since his interview Friday morning with George Katsopoulos wasn't exactly friendly territory, Johnny Biden, he decided to spend half an hour this morning talking to his real friends at Morning John. During the interview, John Biden tried to convince the audience that he has an abundance of energy, and to his credit, it started off well. The caffeine appeared to be working. Johnny Biden, he was effectively reading from the script without fumbling his words. But as expected, the more he talked, the worse things got. Watch for yourself.
I'm here for two reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance. Number one. Number two, remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch.
The fact that Democrats, you believe, may now be doing the same thing that Donald Trump tried to do in 2020, and that is overthrow the popular will.
The reason I've been out on the road so much, all over the country, and while Trump is riding around in his golf cart, filling out his golf cart before he even hits the ball. But anyway, he hadn't been anywhere in 10 days.
I'm sure you guys have noticed that Donald Trump has been strangely silent lately. Normally, the Trumper is a magnet to the mainstream media, but for almost 2 weeks now, Trump has essentially been a ghost. John Biden even said in that clip, Trump hasn't been traveling like me. I've been on the road riding my bicycle from town to town. And don't worry, Minka, Jill put on the training wheels for me. This is very, very unusual for Trump to remain silent this long. Have you wondered why? Right now, all Trump has to do is nothing. Don't say a word. This is one of those rare instances where you want the spotlight away from you. Give all the media attention to John Biden. Stay in the shadows. When you know you're facing an unformidable opponent, all you gotta do is let him bury himself. And that is exactly what Trump is doing. He's letting John Biden bury his own campaign. But give me your thoughts on this. Jen Psaki seemingly turns on John Biden. There seems to be a civil war brewing at Woke United Methodist. The media, they seem to be split. Some are betraying John Biden while some are still openly supporting him. Are we watching the Democratic Party destroy itself? Also, do you think the Trumper is doing the right thing by sitting back and doing nothing? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys later.